welcome to my podcast. I'm Karen Ashton, and today I'm going to talk about a topic called Arthritis Sucks. It's my journey part 2. Here I'm going to take you through my journey so far in the world of arthritis and how something negative can be turned into a positive. It's been almost 6 years now since the start of my symptoms for arthritis. It took a good 2 years for the doctors and consultants to diagnose it and understand why my legs just did not work properly. Firstly, bursitis, and then degeneration of the facet joints in my lower spine. Then categorically severe osteoarthritis in my right hip. It made me feel old while still in my 40s. In 2016, when I met my hubster-to-be, I was still undiagnosed, and while he was at the time in training to climb Mount Everest, I was in training to keep my balance while trying to put my underwear on. I did nick that post from Facebook recently. My husband, due to his own medical reasons, did not fulfil his dream to climb Mount Everest, but that's another story for another time. I had countless GP and consultant appointments, and I was referred to the physio more than 3 times. My legs were having none of it. I kept trying to tell the physio that my legs will not stretch that way. Joking aside, it just made my symptoms worse. If I'd overdone it one day, I would spend the night in agony with leg pain and restless legs. Not funny, really. The doctors prescribed me anti-inflammatories, which didn't help one bit. Painkillers, which made me feel dizzy and sick, and I even tried a very strong painkiller. Oh boy, was that a mistake. The first time I took this was while Jason and I were in our courting stage, and he was cooking me and the boys a roast, the first time he'd cooked for me. Well, within half an hour of taking the dose of strong painkillers, I was holding onto the furniture for dear life as it felt the room was spinning. I spent the rest of the day throwing up. I think I counted about 8 times, so I tried to sleep it off while Jason was lovingly cooking us a feast. When he shouted out that dinner was on the table, I cagily went downstairs, sat at the table while the boys looked at me and wondered why I was so green, and promptly fled back upstairs saying, "I can't eat that," and threw up again. Poor Jason. So there ended my use of meds. I decided to go cold turkey, gave myself a good stiff talking to as to why I was not putting my skills to good use, getting my cauldron out and making up a concoction of aromatherapy oils. The best blend I found worked for me was quite a simple blend of ginger and lemon oils. I'd make up a blend of ginger and lemon essential oils with either grapeseed or sweet almond oil, and I'd massage that into my hips. Ginger is a great anti-inflammatory oil and good for muscular and joint pain. Lemon oil is a great detoxifying oil and help to take those toxins away from the area. Lemon oil is also an uplifting and cooling oil, so in those times when the pain and restriction of movement got me down, the lemon oil would give me a boost. Ginger oil is also warming to the emotions and helped in times when I felt down. They say that happiness comes with a price. I had met my husband-to-be, yet my body was just not playing ball. Jason was ever so supportive, and I often laughed at him becoming my carer. Not only did I mix this blend of aromatherapy oils, but I went one better than this, and I started buying fresh root ginger and fresh lemons. And Jason would crush the ginger up into a pulp, and then he would add the freshly squeezed lemon, and we'd massage the pulp mixture into my legs and hips. A bit mushy, but it helped so much. I'd also strain the remaining lemon and ginger juice and drink it too. Very refreshing and warming. I also took supplements of turmeric for its anti-inflammatory properties and boswellia, which is essence of frankincense, for its help in cartilage rebuilding. It was inevitable at my consultant appointment that my right hip had gone beyond help and I needed to go under the knife. Yikes. Very scary moment to realise I was to have a major operation that took a good year for the doctor to consent to, as I was classed as too young to have the op. but after a second opinion, a doctor saw that I needed to get my quality of life back now, not in several years' time. They confirmed that my right hip joint had worn down to bone on bone in 3 places. No wonder it hurt to move. And to top that, I had bone cysts too. Do not do things by halves, do I? Autumn of 2018, I was finally referred to hospital for a hip replacement, after being turned down for referral by the doctors on several occasions. The wait for surgery at the hospital was 12 months. 12 months of more pain and my movements becoming more and more limited. So Jason self-referred me to a small private hospital who also took NHS patients. What an amazing service. He applied for me in December 2018. I attended a pre-op appointment at the end of January 2019 and my operation took place in March 2019. Wow, what a day that was. I had to arrive at the hospital by 9 AM and Jason left me at the door. I was taken to a hospital bay where I cannot explain how hard that 4 hours wait to go down to theatre felt like. I had every emotion under the sun and thank God I was able to have my belongings with me whilst I waited, so I could give Jason a minute-by-minute update by text of how I was feeling. Poor guy was an emotional wreck too, trying to reassure me. Apparently I was not an easy patient for the op. I like to keep people on their toes. When the anaesthetist came to introduce herself while I was waiting, she informed me I would be sedated through the operation. Wait, what? What about a general anaesthetic? No, she said, we sedate you as the recovery will be quicker for you. But what if I come round during the surgery? It's possible, she said, but do not worry, we just put you back down under again. Oh my God, that was it. Out came the phone again and I text Jason to give him the update. I think he'd given up trying to put my mind at rest by this point, bless him. After more waiting and the surgeon popping his head round to say hello and it won't be much longer and can I draw an arrow on your leg so we make sure we operate on the correct hip, I was finally taken down to theatre. The anaesthetist monitored me and said, oh dear, your heart rate is through the roof. No shit. Let us get you all relaxed, shall we? Her assistant started making conversation with me to preoccupy me while they injected me in the spine. He asked what my favourite drink is, so I answered, gin, and I think I need one now if that's okay. The anaesthetist was starting to kick in at that point, so my words were starting to slur as if I'd been on the gin. Apparently my op took about 2.5 hours, which is about an hour more than normal. At a future post-op appointment, the surgeon said they'd had trouble banging that spike into my bone. Nice. Anyway, my worst fear happened and I woke up while still in the operating theatre. What the... The anaesthetist popped her head round so I could see her and said, it's okay, they're just gluing you back up. I must admit I was away with the fairies and I think I managed a cheesy grin back to her. Everyone also sounded like they were talking in foreign as well, which was bizarre. Then I was whipped out to the recovery room and was there for quite a while waiting for staff to help and someone could wheel me up to the ward. When I did get to the ward, my poor hubster was white as a sheet and so relieved to see me. Apparently he'd been bugging the receptionist staff trying to find out why it had taken so long, but none of them were able to help him as they weren't sure what was going on. But all was well and I'd had my op and it just felt like I only had the top half of my body while the anaesthetic was still wearing off. Then a night of crappy sleep, meds not working and bedpans. Say no more. When the nurse asked us on the ward in the morning who would like another bedpan or would you like to try and walk to the toilet, I would say I jumped out of bed, but it was more like edging an inch at a time, sliding off the bed, and that was it. I was stood up. My feet felt like sponges, but I made that bad boy short walk to the toilet with a Zimmer frame. Yes, a Zimmer frame. The hubster took great delight in videoing me walking in the with the Zimmer frame when he came to visit in the afternoon. Apparently morphine is not a good match for me, as I could not keep any food down, so they gave me anti-sickness tablets too. And my mission to go home on the Sunday, 2 days after my op, was to prove I could keep my food down. And I told that nurse that I would hold that in until it was seeping out my nose if it meant I could go home. The long winding road home from the hospital was very interesting too, as the anti-sickness tablets had worn off, and I spent the journey with my head in a Tesco's carrier bag. My boys and their girlfriends and my parents were there to greet me when I got home with cakes, chocolates and flowers. So nice to see them, but I did have to explain that I'd have to let that wooziness wear off before I could try their homemade cakes. Moving on, my 6-week recovery at home went well, even if I was stubborn and independent. I even made it into work for a day on crutches to assess some students, just so I didn't let them down and have to leave their assessment day. My hubster confiscated my laptop from me for the first week so I could rest, but my sweet, cheesy smile made him give in, and by Friday I had my laptop back in my hands again. He stayed home with me for the first week, and then I was left to my own devices after that, where I worked out how to make a cuppa and get it to the living room without spilling it. And my eldest son would walk in the room if I was out of my chair, and he would sternly ask me, "And what are you doing?" After about 5 weeks, I had a harebrained idea that we'd all go on a family day out to Dartmoor Zoo, and I managed to walk around the entire zoo on crutches, because I wasn't going to let my op prevent me from getting back to normal life. I also made a blend in a roller bottle of mandarin, neroli and frankincense, and I mixed this with sweet almond and wheat germ oil to help with healing my scar. It's pretty impressive, my neat scar actually, my war wound. Anyway, out of this negative time of my life there were plenty of positives. The hospital staff were amazing. Big thanks to all the staff and the NHS service, we are so lucky. But my biggest positive was that having 6 weeks out of work gave me time to finish writing my first book, The Essential Oils Guide, and I published it on Amazon. Well, I finished the book and then I said to my husband, "This book is finished and I'm too scared to click the publish button." So he came up behind me, clicked the button, wham, it was done. It's now February 2021 and I'm now awaiting another hip operation, my left hip this time, but due to the pandemic there's going to be a longer wait. But I'm also working on my second book, which I hope to finish in the next few months. I truly will be the bionic woman then, with hips made of steel. Well, titanium anyway. For those who are suffering from arthritis, don't give up. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and keep pushing for medical attention if you feel that you need it. Don't fear the operation, even though I've given my account, joking aside, and in all honesty, it's not as bad as it seems. I'm now waiting my second op and actually feel quite calm in knowing what to expect. And I think it was worse the first time, as I didn't know what to expect, and each part seemed scarier than it actually was. Get to know the signs of your body and what it's giving you. If you feel energised, then get active. If you feel pain, then rest. Not all meds are good for everyone with the side effects they can give, so get the doctor to help find the ones best for you. Use alternative therapies to help, like aromatherapy, supplements, but as a qualified therapist I must tell you not to replace that of medical advice for complementary therapies. The clue is in the name. These therapies should be complementary to you, your life and your condition. Until my left side started deteriorating, my mobility improved so much. I lost over a stone in weight, and that helped too, as it was less pressure on those poor hips. I could walk a lot further and up hills too. I can't wait to have my second op out the way so I can start to enjoy life again without the pain. Be kind to yourself and know your limits. I've so many adventures to plan with my hubster, as well as my boysies, as I call them, and their girlfriends. There are plenty of aromatherapies, oils that you can use too to help with arthritis, joint pain, pain management, and your mental state too. So I'm going to give you a few listed here. Black pepper, it strengthens the mind and the nerves and helps with muscular aches and pains as well as tired and stiff limbs. Clove oil, that uplifts you when you feel weak and lethargic and is also a pain reliever. Coriander is warming and good for muscle spasms and helps with fatigue, tension and uplifting the spirits. Juniper strengthens the nerves and helps in challenging situations and helps with uric acid build-up and helps to strengthen the limbs. It's also helpful for painful, stiff muscles and joints. And finally, pine. This helps when feeling weak, fatigued, or if you have a mental debility, as well as it's good for circulation and in relieving pain and muscle stiffness. Always check the oils are suitable for you before you use them and always follow the safe procedures when using them. Also remember, not all oils work for everyone, so sometimes it's a case of finding the right blend that works for you. One size definitely does not fit all, and that's the beauty of these oils. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and you can find more out about me on karenashtonauthor.co.uk, and please follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Karen Ashton Author, and hope to see you soon.